Hello, I'm Jim Roberts. I'm host of Senior Living in Alexandria. As many of you know, and hopefully frequently watch, this is a monthly program put on by Senior Services in Alexandria. And what we try to do each month is provide useful information for not just seniors, but their caregivers, friends, families, service providers, and others. We have a good program today for you, and I've learned a lot about this, and I'm eager to help you learn something too about the Virginia Extension Cooperative. This is an education and resource organization that serves Northern Virginia, largely Arlington and Alexandria. I've got two representatives here. I've got Dina Hofman, who's I'm in charge of financial education, and is leading into a program I want to mention. March 13th we'll have on financial services, and that'll be at the Beatley Library, and there will be a representative of the extension that will be there. Also have with us Kristen Conrad. She's in charge of agricultural and natural resources. They have a plethora of programs at the extension. I thought we'd spend a little bit of time just getting some background on the Virginia Extension Cooperative. So tell me, well, give me a little bit of background. How did you guys get into being in this educational and resource-laden program?
Well, Virginia Cooperative Extension is the outreach from the state land-grant colleges, which are Virginia Tech and Virginia State University.
Okay.
And my program area is agriculture and natural resources. And I have been a horticulturist or a botanist or landscape professional all my life. And I came to Extension because I wanted to be involved with teaching. Mm-hmm. And it is literally what I do every day and have done for 11 years now.
And what's your background?
My background is in financial education and counseling, debt management. I also worked in higher education for several years here in Arlington, and I decided to go back to financial education programs because I think it's an important program to spread in the community, especially for our younger students and as well as our seniors.
So you two have a knowledge area. How does that fit into what tell me broadly, what's the extension's purpose? What is it designed to do in a community?
I think our main purpose is to help people in Arlington and Alexandria and in community overall to live a better life. We do it through providing educational programs in agriculture, financial services, nutrition, family services, and many others. So I see it as our main goal.
How do you decide the range of things? You've covered a lot of ground there. How does the extension decide we should focus on this and we not on this? How does the extension make those decisions?
It is based on the research and the need of the community.
Okay.
We base our programs on research from the Virginia State University and Virginia Tech. And we also listen to our partners in the community. We get approached by local nonprofits, schools, libraries, and they bring the need to us. They often tell us what the problem is and how Extension can help solve it.
How many employees are at the Extension? How many staff?
We currently have 6 staff members.
6 staff, okay.
But we also have about 500 volunteers.
Whoa, okay.
The volunteers are spread over 5 programs. In my program area, which is agriculture and natural resources, we have master gardeners and master naturalists. Mm-hmm. Both of these programs consist of residents who want to give back to their communities, and we do an annual training program. In the case of Master Naturalists, they are doing 2 training programs a year in the spring and the fall. Mm-hmm. And they're actually taking registration now for their spring volunteer training.
Okay.
The Master Gardener training starts up in the fall, in September. But we like to say that all of these volunteers are unpaid staff members.
Yeah, that's a lot of people to manage and schedule and get. How do people learn about the extension programs? How do you get the word out? Obviously this will help, I hope. But what sorts of things do you do to let people know what you do?
Well, our website is obviously one of the places you can go to find information about the programs and upcoming volunteer opportunities. We also rely on our partners, like I said, libraries and community centers. They often have posters and flyers about the programs that we offer, and we also rely on word of mouth because people who attend our programs usually come out very happy and recruit their friends and relatives to come and attend one of them.
So word of mouth. If I wanted to, I'm sorry.
Yes.
That's okay. I was going to agree that the volunteers are out in the community
Okay.
several times a month. And in addition to the public education programming that are done, we also participate in many special events. In Alexandria, for instance, Alexandria Earth Day is a major event. We have farmers market plant clinics for that Master Gardeners are engaged in, and the volunteer groups are engaged on direct services level with the Alexandria and Arlington County governments, doing things like stormwater management and water quality education.
Suppose that you mentioned you were in horticultural natural resources. Suppose I got an interest in that. What are the steps that I would, and I found out, a friend said, you really ought to go to the extension, they have excellent programs. How do I do that? Is there a fee? Do I register? Is there a course schedule online? All of above, none of above? How does it work if I got interested in the subject area?
If you're interested in gardening programs, the Master Gardeners of Northern Virginia are an association of Extension Master Gardener volunteers that helps support the work of the volunteers. They also do quite a bit of the advertising and the promotional outreach that we need to do every month to residents. Our programs are taught in both Arlington and in Alexandria. Many of the public libraries, for instance,
So
sites.
how would I engage with that?
You can go to the Master Gardeners of Northern Virginia website and look at the calendar,
Okay.
which is a wonderful, wonderful website. They have blog entries. They've got links to the help desk, which is located at the Fairhaven Community Center, where you can bring in your plant problems and ask questions.
Okay. But I can register online and
Yes.
then there's a course schedule and I just show up for the course. Are there fees?
The public education is almost always free.
Okay.
There are some notable exceptions when we bring in guest speakers for special symposia or other kinds of larger community events.
That sounds like a pretty robust website to cover
Yes, it
all
is.
that. So, okay, well, we've got to go to a break, so we'll come back and we'll talk a little bit more, try to get some more information about the extension, and then we'll talk a little bit about finance on the program that's coming up in March. So,
Great.
hang on. We'll be back. Well, we have our cooking intermission following that segment of the interview, and I'm pleased once again to be with the world-famous culinarist and nutritionist, Madison Reeder. Madison, it's March and time for a spring dish. What do you have for us today?
Yes, well, thank you for having me back. It's
Pleasure.
finally springtime, and
Finally.
I thought we would go with something green, kind of go with spring feel and St. Patrick's Day. So
Oh,
you can
okay.
see kind of a couple of different green things on here, but what we're making is a composed couscous salad. Now, have you worked with couscous before, or do you know what that is?
I've eaten it, and
You've
I
eaten
have,
it?
yeah, it's good.
Yes,
But
it
what's
is.
composed?
So a composed salad is something that ideally you want to make it and kind of let it settle overnight, or at least for a little bit after it's done, so that it can become a complete composition. All the flavors can come together. So ideally, when this salad is done, you're going to want to leave it either in the refrigerator or let it set a little bit before rushing to eat it. Now, we won't
Okay.
be quite doing that today, but that's your ideal scenario for something like this.
Would this be for a meal or for would this be an entree?
It definitely could. I would recommend putting an additional protein with it, because as you'll see here,
okay.
there's not a ton of protein.
Okay.
We've got a couple of different ingredients. There'll be a little bit of protein in your couscous itself. We are going to be using some feta cheese, but putting a nice piece of chicken with this, or beef or something like that.
Fish, maybe?
Yeah, fish would be a perfect
Okay.
meal.
All right.
So basically, we're going to take our couscous, and for people who don't know what that is, it is still a wheat product. And it's just very fine, has a little bit less calories than rice, but similar in nature. It's very fluffy, as you can see here. So you can buy it a bunch of different ways, but this is a toasted pine nut one, which I thought would go good with our other flavors. So you can just follow your packaging instructions, and this can be made in the microwave, which makes it really quick and easy.
Are there
for dinner.
gluten issues with
It is
couscous?
not suitable for people who are
Okay,
gluten-free.
okay.
Yes,
All right.
because it is a wheat product. That is a great thing to
That
point
comes
out.
up these days.
Absolutely.
Okay.
And then the other thing we're going to use here is our green peas. Now, I will say that I'm somebody who does not like peas when they're by themselves. I think they can be really boring and starchy.
And lonely.
And lonely,
Right.
yes, rolling along the plate. But when they're added to something like this, they can really become the star of the dish. So we're going to just take about half a cup to a cup of this couscous that we've prepared according to the packaging. And we're going to add about the same ratio of green peas to that.
Okay.
A little more, a little less, depending on what your preference is. You want to give that a stir for me.
Sure.
Just mix that in.
Okay. Smells good.
Yeah, it's a really nice blend in this couscous mix already, which a lot of people are worried that these prepackaged mixes are unhealthy for them. My recommendation is just make sure you're reading your food label. Something like this can be simple and easy and the star of the show, and you don't have to stray away from something like that just because it's already prepared for you.
Okay.
Then we're going to add some walnuts, which may seem like a strange
Lot
combo,
or a
but it
little?
gives it a little bit of crunch. Maybe about a quarter cup, a little bit more.
One more. Ooh,
Perfect.
got away from me.
Perfect. We
Okay.
can stir that in together.
More, okay.
Perfect. And we're going to add a little bit of feta cheese. So our peas are a little bit sweet. Our couscous is a little savory. Our nuts give it a little bit of an oily with a hint of a bitter taste. And our feta is going to kind of cut that a little bit. So
All right.
got a bunch of different flavors in there. You can add as much or as little feta as you want. And now that we've combined our peas,
Yeah.
our couscous, some walnuts, and some feta in this bowl here, we can actually set that aside. That is the base, and we're gonna make a nice little dressing for over the top of
okay.
that.
Okay.
So we're gonna take our mixer here. You can use a blender, whatever works best for you. I love my Ninja, and I've used it here many, many times. And what is added in here so far is we've got some basil, about a cup of packed basil leaves. You want a good amount of basil there, and you can smell that. I wish everybody could smell this in here, but it smells lovely. And about a quarter cup of olive oil. The
Okay.
next thing that we are going to add is about 3 tablespoons of some white wine vinegar. Oil and vinegar go very well together for a dressing.
There's
of course.
1 and 2 and 3.
Yep.
And you've got the olive oil already in there?
Olive oil
All
is
right.
already in there, ready to
Okay.
go.
Okay.
The next thing that we're going to add may seem a little bit off, but again, we're trying to balance our flavors. We're going to add a small little bit of honey, or you can use agave nectar. We're going to add,
So you get a sweet and sour or tart with the
yes.
vinegar and the agave.
Yep,
Okay.
just about a tablespoon. I like to use, I've made this a couple of times, and I like to use a little bit less than a full tablespoon of that.
That's a powerful sweetener.
Yes, it is a powerful sweetener. Honey,
Okay.
I could use maybe a little bit more, but for this, I went with that. And then we're going to put in there 1 clove of garlic. I just cut it, mashed it a little bit, took the skin off.
All right.
The food processor will blend that, but we don't want the skin in there. And then we're going to put in a shallot. Now, have you cooked with shallots before?
Never, never.
Yeah, so a shallot is an onion. It's a
Yeah.
very delicate type of onion, so it doesn't have, you'll notice, it's fragrant, but not quite the same way that a red or a yellow onion would be. So we're going to put 1 shallot in. I did dice it a little bit, so it's a little
Okay.
bit easier to mix. We're going to put that in there.
Okay.
I'm going to do a pinch of red pepper flakes, just a pinch.
Okay.
Sometimes I like a little bit more than a pinch, but we'll go with that for now. And we're going to add a little bit of salt as well. And mix that up together.
And that'll be the dressing?
And that'll be poured over top.
Oh,
and
the
that's Yep, exactly. And that's what really needs to marry together. That's why it's
Okay,
called a
right.
composed salad.
Okay.
For our purposes, it'll be just fine for us to try as is, but the longer you let it settle, the more those flavors will really come together and be quite
You mentioned
lovely.
keeping it overnight in the refrigerator.
Yes,
There you
yep,
go.
that's a
All
great
right.
one. All right, we're gonna turn this on and we are going to blend it on medium. I always like to blend it for a little bit and then take a look at what we've got so far and decide if I want to add a little bit more vinegar, a little bit more oil, and go from there. So it smells really, really nice in here right now. I'll move that a little bit so we can see. Oh, sorry, I got a little bit on you.
Tastes good. Tastes good.
So what I want to do, since it's a little bit thick right now, which isn't really a problem for this, I'm going to add a little bit more olive oil. We were just talking about how I don't like to measure things. I kind of feel it out and see what works, because sometimes when you do want to focus on your measurements, of course, when you're cooking, but sometimes being willing to kind of stretch a little bit is what makes the dish personal to you.
I think the history, however, is that once you're done, you write them down and then they're
That's
available
right.
online.
That's
So
right, yes.
Don't fret.
Right. All right, we're going to blend this again. All right. I'll take that off and take another look at it. And see, it's a little bit creamier there.
Yeah.
Got
yeah.
a little bit of substance to it, but that's okay because we can add that in and mix it all together well. So what I'm going to do then is just pour that mixture very carefully over the top. All right, you don't have to use all of it. You can use as much or as little as you prefer.
Stir that in?
Yep.
Okay.
And a nice little mix there. And I think we'll add a little bit more there as well.
Okay. Let's
See?
Boy, that smells good.
It does smell really nice. It's some interesting flavors together that I think sometimes people are a little bit worried about adding together.
Yeah.
It works out really nicely. And that is all there is to it. You can add some parsley to the top if you'd like. You can add as much or as little of that as you'd like. But I think like this, there's plenty of flavors that are going
There we
together
go.
here right now. Would you like to give it a try?
Well, I was hoping to. Here, have a spoon.
Thank you.
Here we go.
There's a lot of different components in this, but very tasty,
Whoops.
very healthy. What do we think?
You know, every time we do this, I need a second taste to declare it's delicious.
Hey, that's a good thing. That means that I'm doing something right, right?
It's very good.
Well,
What's the name of that again?
This is a couscous composed salad.
Perfect. Great.
Well, thank you so much again for having me for another month.
See you
And-
next month.
Yes,
See you next month.
See you next month.
All right. Thanks. Thanks. Well, we're back. We're here today learning something about the Virginia Extension Cooperative. We've got two program representatives here with a lot of information about a broad organization that can do a lot of things in terms of interest for seniors. I'm here with Kristen Conrad, who's with Agricultural and Natural Resources Programs, and Dina Hofman, we're here in terms of financial education. Before the break, we were talking a little bit about the programs, but we didn't get down into the breadth of that. Could you two define other programs that maybe we didn't mention before that demonstrate what the extension does?
Okay, I'd be glad to start. Dina, of course, is doing financial education.
Right.
And my area is agriculture and natural resources, which includes things like horticulture and plant disease, plant selection, native plant restoration. But we also have another program in the office that deals with youth leadership development.
Okay.
This is called 4-H. And whenever I ask people, have you ever, and if you have heard of cooperative extension, and I can guarantee you that people have heard about 4-H, but they don't know about cooperative extension, and so that's a well-known program. We also do nutrition education classes through the office, and we do a lot of work with seniors related to nutrition education. Also for seniors, we do classes on how to ergonomically stay active in the garden without pain and without excessive effort.
Okay.
About a third of our classes are delivered within the city boundaries of Alexandria, and we are mostly doing classes at the libraries in Alexandria. So you can find us there at the libraries as well. But one of the most important services that we offer are the plant clinics and the help desk. And the plant clinics in Alexandria are located at Del Rey Farmers Market, as well as at the Old Town, the courthouse farmers market.
So you have a table or a booth on the...
Every single weekend.
Really? Okay.
During the season.
I've never noticed, but now I will.
From April through October. It's a very dedicated group of Master Gardener volunteers that are there to give advice to gardeners, solve questions, what is this plant, what is this insect, what is this plant disease. And we have an enhanced service like that in the Farrington Community Center, which is called the Horticulture Help Desk. And the information about all of these types of services is on the mgnv.org website. And people can call in, they can walk in, they can send us pictures of plants, they can send us pictures of diseases, plant diseases, and we help a lot of people.
It's very broad. What if you had a perfect choice, what would you ask for in addition to help you do your programs or reach more people, or what could you do? What ideas do you have that maybe could reach more people or get broader programs or something? Any ideas?
Well, I guess the first thing I want to say about that is the website. The Master Gardeners of Northern Virginia website is an amazing resource. They have blog posts, they have education, they have calendar listings. So I'm very, very pleased with that, as well as the Facebook page, which is maintained by the Master Gardeners. Similarly, the Master Naturalist program also does a Facebook page as well as a website. And they are very active in the community with all kinds of natural resource education, stormwater management type programs, water quality, tree counts, bird counts, and many other kinds of activities.
Are there special accommodations or programs targeted to seniors? Anything that sticks out? Either one.
Well, in financial education program, we do have several classes geared towards our senior population. To name a few, and most of the popular ones are Control and Clutter, a class which teaches our students how to control the documents, numerous papers that they get in the mail, and also gives them the tools how to determine which documents to keep and which can be shredded. We also have a class called Who Gets Grandma's Pie? This class teaches students about what to do with non-titled property and how to manage some of the assets that you have in how to allocate them in the future. We teach several other classes for our senior citizens, which can be found on our website.
Okay. It sounds like you gave a reference to the website. They'll post that for people to look at, and it sounds like they need to do that. Tell me, you early when we started mentioned that you had a background in terms of financial education. What's the need for that? Well, of course for seniors, but generally, I guess I'm asking the question, are we financially ignorant, and is it a harmful thing?
I think we're just not educated, and that's the main problem. In my early years in financial education, I worked a lot with active duty Marines and sailors, and for those young Marines and sailors, they had great jobs, they had financial security, they had steady income every month, and they had great benefits, but they were lacking skills on how to manage that money and how to manage their benefits, and they didn't think about retirement savings. So back then I realized that we, as people are not taught on financial basics, not in school, not in college, but those are the skills that we use every day, and those are the skills that will affect our life in the long run. So I think financial education should become part of the curriculum for many schools or colleges, which will talk about basic debt management, basic saving strategies, retirement savings, things like how to manage that, how to build credit score. So these are the things that we teach and strongly promote. Like I said, our students range in age, and we go to elementary schools, we teach kindergarteners basic financial skills, and we also provide classes to more seasoned
Are there
people.
special needs of seniors in that number of things you do? Are there special programs, special topics that they might cover?
We do talk. We have a class which is called "Living Well in Retirement." This class focuses on retirement planning and also how teaches how to live on a retirement income when you're retired. So we also give resources for the local organizations that have programs for retirees, maybe some food programs or other educational services. And we also see it as a way to connect our senior citizens with each other, and it also gives them opportunity to get together and learn and make new connections and friends.
Sounds like that's the subject matter that will be at the speaker series we mentioned early on March 13th. So there's a lot to learn and a lot. One final question. It sounds like you teach those personally and have that breadth of knowledge, or do you bring in partners or others? How do you do that?
I do teach a few classes myself, but I also rely on help of over 130 volunteers that we have. A lot of them are retired as well, and they bring lots of knowledge from their careers in the financial field or counseling field or government field, so they're all ready to share that knowledge with their fellow citizens.
Okay. Well, we're out of time, unfortunately. There's a lot more to learn about the extension, but you've given us a really good overview. Thank you both very much for coming. And I know you've got your program areas, but to learn more about the extension, how it works, is, I think, very valuable for us. So thank you, and look forward to your participation in the speaker series. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
Appreciate it, John.